call our workshop to order at this time. And first item is discussion related to the wayfinding master sign project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. At the January 8th meeting, I provided y'all with an overview of some pages in the wayfinding project, as well as the actual documents for you to go through, have some time to review each page, the signage, and the placement, and provide any feedback y'all might have for me this evening. We can go over the memo if you'd like, with kind of questions that I had, or if you have some questions for me, I'll be more than happy to address those as well. So
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was very thorough, and I appreciate it. I had a couple of weeks to look through when we were off, and that thing just about answered every question I had. What's going to go up and where it's going to go.
I agree. That was a good job.
Thank you. Questions? So let me ask you a question. So as you went through it, what was your thoughts on a secondary sign on East 580? So do y'all feel that we need another secondary gateway, or do you think just a wayfinding directing them to like turn up the baseball field or to the historic downtown would suffice? What are your thoughts on that? Yeah. So that's my thought. Or at least have, if we wanted to do a secondary gateway, maybe have it in a different phase, maybe later down the road if we felt we needed it. But I didn't feel it was a priority other than a wayfinding. Do you agree? And then on 4th and Creek Street, there is a proposed historic downtown secondary sign, and they have it in the pamphlet as doing it two-sided, where you're welcome to historic and thank you for visiting historic. My initial thought was that we didn't need it two-sided, just for more cost, and also the placement of it. If we would have to get it strategically placed to where you could see both sides to be an advantage to us. So that was kind of my thought on that. So I was kind of waiting to see exactly where they're going to put it on that corner to see if you could visually see both sides traffic-wise. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. I kind of thought, I was wondering in my mind where exactly they were going to place that, because you've got the right there across the road, you know,
Yes.
and, there's going to be a lot of traffic.
And there's some, and right underneath the bridge, there's some guy wires there as well, and some other utilities. So it would have to be very strategically placed to where it would be able to view both sides to be a square versus like at an angle. So I was going to wait and see what they thought as far as placement. That's kind of my thoughts there. And then one thing that I did, you might notice like city services, I did that in place of City Hall, because when you Google city services, you come up with City Hall, Police Department, Fire Department, Library. So I wanted to make sure that anybody who Googled us or knew us at the City Administration Hall, they would know that this is all the city services that are in this block, in this location. So same with like emergency services, I didn't specify police department or fire department, we just put emergency services on the wayfinding on Key Avenue to get them down 4th Street. And that would be able to meet everybody's needs on EMS services or fire or police department. And then the same I did with Campbell Park. So when we first started doing this, we had a lot of notations for Campbell Park. But again, when you Google search Campbell Park, you get everything else but Campbell Park. So you'll get like the art in the park, you'll get the sculpture garden, you'll get the swimming pool, various things that are located in Campbell Park. So I didn't want to misconstrue what the location is. I wanted to be specific and state, the skate park is there, the swimming pool is there, the sculpture garden is there. So I want to be very specific versus using Campbell Park. So that's kind of my thought behind that as well. And then what do you think about the 580 Sports Complex having that as a dual purpose sign? So instead of having a welcome to Lampasas, it would specifically be 580 Sports Complex with the address, which will be your welcome sign and the actual sign to show where the sports complex is. Do you agree with that as well? And then as far as your sign installation, do you have a preference whether we do like a priority as far as phase 1 being the gateway, so your entry to Lampasas being a priority, or do you look at it as being the wayfinding on Key, the wayfinding downtown. Is there a way you want to kind of phase it out?
I think so.
Okay,
And, I mean, and when we're talking about doing those, can you do them within a couple of weeks of each other, or what's the time frame?
that we won't know until we go out for bids and find the contractor and see what their timetable would be. I just know that based on cost, I wanted to make sure that we have the opportunity to do it more in phase. So if we did one this budget year, we had a couple next budget year, et cetera, so we weren't inundated with doing all these signs at one time and not have the funding to cover it. So I was just kind of seeing if you want to do, a gateway sign and a couple of wayfinding signs, like one package together, or if it'd be more cost effective to do both gateway at one time while they're mobilized. So it just kind of depends on how you want to structure it.
Yeah, during our eclipse, what's gonna make have the biggest bang during that particular time? Is it?
I wouldn't count on this being done by the eclipse because we're putting at the actual package itself, and then we have to go to TechScott to verify our locations. Because a lot of it, like on Key Avenue, we want to do some repurpose and some redundant signs, get rid of some of them, and make a new sign that'll be equally important and give those designations. So we have to get TechScott approval on how we place those signs, because there's a certain amount of feet between each sign we can do, and we want to make sure that we're not congesting and causing a nuisance. We want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. So we're not quite ready to send out for bids yet. We're in the final stages, so I just want to make sure I got y'all's feedback before we went to TechScott and y'all had a different idea.
In phase one, is there a possibility of doing the gateway and then some wayfinding on key?
We could probably do anything we wanted to do at this point. I just wanted to kind of get a feel for what y'all's thoughts were, what y'all thought was a priority.
I kind of think it's a good idea to have some wayfinding on key pointing towards, emergency services and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. If we could do a combo, that'd be good. But I don't understand 281 South, and it's going to be based on the construction, so that'll be later.
Correct.
So therefore, you might be able to use some of that for wayfinding.
Right, because we didn't want to designate a spot on 281 for like the golf course or for the high school, or even getting it back to town without knowing exactly what's going to impact on our roadway. So once all that's done, we'll be able to identify a specific location that'll be better benefit. And then two, with coming off of Key, they don't want to direct people, from my understanding, going down 281, and they want to make them go down Key to go that direction. So we kind of want to wait and see the directive from TechScott of how we place those signs to get them to the golf course and to the high school, etc. So we're just going to wait this. And the colors, the sizes, the signs, everything looks okay?
Okay.
Okay, if y'all come up with any other questions as you continue to go through, just let me know, or comments. Okay. Y'all.
Discussion regarding anything on any item on the regular agenda? If not, then we will ask for a motion to adjourn the workshop session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And you guys need a break? All right. Well, we will call this next session to order.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great opportunity this evening. With a group of people, a beautiful community, a great building, to come together to do your business. Particularly grateful for the gentle rains today. We appreciate a little more along the way in the next few days if we see fit. We ask you to be with us tonight so some good decisions can be made to benefit all of your community and all of your people. We ask that you be with us with safety till we can meet again. Forgive us for our sins, and as always, in Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
have a presentation tonight of the February 2024 Night Sky Awareness Month.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us. I'm Dorothy Person with the Lampasas County Night Sky. And with me is Mike Watson, our fearless leader, Jane Watson, and Joe Rollins. And we are asking you tonight to set aside February 2024 as a Night Sky Awareness. The reason for this is we have several events coming up that you already talked about, which was the eclipse on April 8th. And March 2nd, the library is going to be hosting a star party, and that we hope to be at the school grounds, possibly at Hannah Springs School, and to be looking to encouraging kids with an understanding of the night sky, stars, planets, what's out there, and to be able to look through telescopes themselves. Also a panel discussion and some different ways of teaching the public generally about what night sky is all about. So we are here asking for a resolution from you all to set aside February 2024 as a Night Sky Awareness Month. Questions?
I have the resolution in hand.
Yes.
I will read it. Whereas the city of Lampasas, Texas, hereafter the city supports the effort to preserve the night skies and encourage such practices and technologies to further preserve, protect, and celebrate our night sky in the city as reflected in resolution. Whereas the city works with its partners to educate and encourage landowners, business, residents, communities, and public entities to join in this commitment. Whereas upcoming events raising awareness, including the March 2nd Library Star Party and April 8th Solar Eclipse. Whereas the city recognizes the importance of education and awareness building to continue to encourage our citizens in protecting the enduring beauty of the night sky. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Lampasas, Texas, the city hereby declares February 2024 Night Sky Awareness Month. This resolution shall take place immediately upon its passage, passed and adopted by this council on the 22nd day of January 2024.
Thank you. We appreciate your help and your backing to the group, and hope you have full understanding. Let us know if you have questions.
You want me to pick him up?
Yeah, we swap places if you want.
This way so you can see, make sure everybody's squeeze it. There you go. No, it's tight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate your support.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And at this time, I would like to present Frank Elliott. The city of Lampasas extends its gratitude for you and your dedicated service to the city of Lampasas and its citizens for 5 years. This certificate is hereby presented to you on this 22nd day of January 2024. Thank you, Frank.
Pictures.
Come on down.
Picture time.
Protested this picture, Frank. Sir?
This one's too tall to stand behind too.
Stand behind you, shouldn't. Now we got two. You lay sideways, you don't hold me. Go sideways.
I'll be charged for
Thank you guys for your support. It's really appreciate it.
Can't see Zach.
Of course. Zach, I'm right here.
You mean move over? How's that?
That's good. Maybe a little bit over that way, Zach.
Me?
You can stay. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 30. 1, 2, 3. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Frank, you can't go out. Public hearing, citizens' comments. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter not included on the agenda may do so at this time. The city council may not deliberate on items presented under this agenda item. There is none. Citizens' comment. Any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. And there is none. Discussion and possible action concerning the approval of minutes of the regular meeting held on January the 8th, 2024.
I didn't see any corrections. Recommend approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Consent agenda, discussion and possible action to approve the second reading of an ordinance to rezone property as described in .416 acres, ABST 0419 of the LHW Johnson Survey, W. West Avenue, East Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County, from a single-family resident 10 to a single-family residential family 10 with a mobile home overlay MHO.
I'll make a motion to approve, sorry. Okay. I was making a motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance to rezone property described as .416 acres, abstract 0419 of the LHW Johnson Survey, West Avenue E, Lampasas, Texas, Lampasas County, from single family residential 10 to single family residential 10 with a mobile home overlay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Board and Department report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Hope to make this short and sweet. This is finance and utilities and review. There's not a whole lot of excitement going on with finance and utilities. If you'll look, I think you have the handout. I'm going to start with our team members. If you don't mind for just a moment and let you know a little bit about each one of them. Bessie White is in finance. She and I are the finance department, the two of us. Her main goals are accounts payable and payroll. She takes care of payroll maintenance. She's the utility supervisor and goes over their schedules. Oh, yeah, if you don't mind. Sorry. I'm sorry, she goes over utility schedules, assists with payments, and she handles the petty cash. We do have 5 ladies that are in the utilities. Felicia Vallejo, her main is the billing. She does the work orders, customer relations, assists with payments, sewer averaging and adjustments. And then this is just a broad view. They do a lot more than that. Heather McDonald, she works in our back utility office. She's a part-time, works in the afternoon for us. She is a backup to Felicia on the billing. She handles the Cadence bank statements, customer service, payments, pretty much anything that we need in the bank she can take care of. Amy Catron also is in the bank. She takes care of the window. She gets there at 7 in the morning, does the night drop, back window deposits, the posting of all the web payments. She looks at all of our supplies, what we need, takes care of payments, customer relations, and takes care of the payments at the back. Courtney Owens Ramp is also, she sits up front. She takes care of payments, customer service, reviews the purchase orders, and sends them out to all the different departments. We have recently got her in the accounts payable to do reviews and a backup on doing that, and she has started doing the mail. She assists Felicia with work orders for billing and takes care of payments. Sammy Irvin, she is our new hire. She's been with us about 4 months. Please look at it. Customer service, payments, filing. Also assists Felicia with her work orders. She's eager to learn and always looking for something to do, which we appreciate. We have 2 meter readers that take care of all of the meter reading for the water and the electric meters. I think they're a huge part of our revenue stream to make sure that those reads are correct. So between the 2 of them, they read all the meters in the city. Okay. Money collected. All money that comes through the city filters through the utility department. That's from the library, concessions, to the golf course, to the pool, everything. We put it in the system, make sure it gets posted to the right general ledger account. We have 5 different merchant accounts that take care of all of our credit card processing. We have utilities in person online, court in person and online, and also the miscellaneous that takes care of animal shelter, citizen collection, and MyGov. These are pretty much reconciled directly into the bank statement, and I try to keep them on a daily basis so that they don't get, because they get commingled together. So I'm trying to make sure that everything's not missing, and we have what we have deposited into the bank matches what we have on our side. Deposits for the cash and checks are made twice daily. We have safeguards that we put the employees count their drawer daily, and then they count it with another employee. So we always have 2 people that are counting all the drawers, and we have a designated area for them to do all the counting. Just like in the mornings when they open up, we have 1 person that has a key to the cabinet and 1 person that has a combo. Nobody has both, so we're got safeguards in place for that. Okay. Utility billing, we have 3 different billing cycles and 3 different due dates. We prepare the late notices, the door tags, and then when it comes down to it, if we need to disconnect, we do disconnect. We don't disconnect if it's over 100 degrees or if it's below 32 degrees. We do sewer averaging for the sewer in March, so sewer rates stay the same on an annual basis. We work closely with both the electric department and the water department and other departments within the city. Then those two are more than what we work with. Okay. That just shows an outline of all of our work orders between turn-ons, read-ins, read-outs, disconnects, things of that nature. Okay. And then finance. A big focus in finance is budget, of course. It's preparing the budget, getting it put together, getting it adopted, making sure that we have all of our legal notices and everything done correctly. Day-to-day operations, bank recs, things of that nature, recording journal entries. Right now we're in the middle of our audits. I've got auditors there, so pulling different things for them. And of course, accounts payable and then payroll. Future goals is update our policies, make sure we're all trained and everybody's up to where they need to be. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you all.
Routine matters. City manager's operational report.
Meeting, Mayor and Council, just a few brief comments. Included in your packet is the Hamilton EMS report for the month of December. As you'll note, of the 325 total calls for service within Lampasas County, the city accounted for 143, or about 44% of that. The other thing that I thought was kind of interesting, that if you include the service area of the volunteer, Lampasas Volunteer Fire Department, as well as the transfers, that goes up to about 81% of the total activity or calls for service. So there is a lot of activity with Hamilton EMS, particularly in and around the city of Lampasas. The average response time for the city was 5 minutes and 10 seconds. Bridge on 3rd Street, Ryan has provided the most recent update, having gotten with TxDOT staff. It looks like the project itself to turn a spade of dirt is probably at least 12 months out, 12, 13 months out. As my understanding, they have received the final design, and it does call for a number of utility relocations, some on the part of the city. However, probably the most major fall into Atmos's scope. And I think probably Atmos was the last one to get their utilities relocated on South 281, weren't they? So we think that'll be a huge process. The bridge design does call for a wider design, a slight realignment, but we think it'll be a good update. LEDC had their meeting January 17th, and in addition to discussing ongoing planning, also took a look at SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Inclusions. They've gotten some input from their board, as well as council had the opportunity to provide some to take a look at that. Also discussed briefly some interest from prospects, and additionally, with the mayor and attendance board, did discuss the possibility of meeting together peer-to-peer, board to council at a future meeting, a joint workshop. And so I think what we'll do is I still owe you some dates for the joint meeting with the Kempner Water Supply Corporation board. So I'll send out some dates to you by email and include a workshop date for the LEDC. The report also included ongoing retention activities, including networking and education events, as well as the upcoming entrepreneurial summit. As Yvonne indicated, auditors are taking up residence in City Hall last week, and I think they're here for a few days this week. And they will take a look and sample various financial documentation to make sure that they're all in compliance. I think we should, I think what I said here was the end of February. Yvonne tells me it's probably going to be more like mid-March. So we will get that just as soon as it is prepared and ready to go. We also will present to you our internal finance report on February 13th at the next meeting. Gateway signage, Ryan reports that in cooperation with Landowners Vision and Metzger Stone, city's gateway monument sign on South 183 will be initiated very soon. We are taking care of the foundation, the boundary fencing, in addition to getting that done hopefully within the next couple of weeks. We have also obtained an easement, or will be obtaining an easement from the property owner there, so 20 years from now, we'll still have the deal memorialized in the form of that easement for the signage at that location. Painted chair event. Shand announces that the Library Foundation's Catherine Mesker Painted Chair fundraiser is getting close. And I think some of you are familiar with this, but basically donors are asked to decorate and paint a chair on the theme of a book, and you supply them both to the library, and you can do that, I believe, at the starting March 20th, and then they're auctioned on April 27th, and it's it's been a pretty successful fundraiser for the Library Foundation. So get your chairs and your books ready. Staff, we're sorry to announce the upcoming retirements of Antonio Barrios, Sergeant Code Enforcement, J.P. Harris, Deputy Fire Chief and Fire Marshal. And I will say this about both of those individuals. It's been an honor and privilege to work with them. They've represented you very well. They've represented the city very well. And they don't always have the easiest jobs in the world, but JP and Tony have done a good job for the city and our citizens. We are also pleased to announce the hiring of Tim Davis as Deputy Chief in the Fire Department, John Reinhardt as Patrol Officer, Michael Roberts, School Resource Officer. Those hirings also reflect a great deal of tenure that's coming on to our staffs from other experiences. I'd like to recognize the following employees who began their career in January: Emily Stone, 11 years, Ryan Ward, 2 years, John Wilkes, 6 years, Stacy Ibarra, 1 year, John Reza, 2 years, Jameson Bernardo, 2 years, Ricky Haney, 8 years, Van Barry wins the award, 36 years, Frank Ellett, who you recognize, 5 years, and Christopher Alford, 1 year. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to 7.1, discussion of possible action concerning the approval of a contract for the election services between Lampasas County, Texas, and the city of Lampasas, Texas, for the May 4th, 2024 general election.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This contract is basically the same that we've done several years now. The only thing that is a little different with this one is going to be that for the 12-hour days voting, as I sent out an email to you earlier in the year, January 2022, Senate bill had removed that requirement to where municipalities had to have a 12-day voting for early voting. So we kind of compromised with the county, and we have gone from making 2 12-hour days to only 1 12-hour day, and that will be on the last day of early voting. So the only thing that's, like I said, that was the only update that we had to this contract is the same we've done year after year. And they've estimated about $5,800 what it'll cost for the election this year, which is about the same as they did last year, and we came in way under about $4,500. So it just got just a ballpark figure, but it is a budgeted item we do every year. And I just need to get your approval to go ahead and approve this contract with the county to do our elections for us.
Move to approve the contract for election services between Lampasas County, Texas and the city of Lampasas, Texas for the May 4th, 2024 general election, and authorize the city manager to execute the related document.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Bob.
7.2, discussion of possible actions to donate surplus 2009 Ford Crown Victoria from the police department fleet to the law enforcement program at the Lampasas High School.
Mayor and council, police department finds itself in possession of this 2009 previously loved and gently cared for Crown Victoria with 100,000 plus miles on it. A couple of years ago, Michael Taylor, retired highway patrolman that runs the criminal justice program at the high school, he requested that we donate one to him, not this one, but part of his UIL program. They actually train, traffic stops, safety, etc. And his program has been highly successful. I don't know if you followed it in the newspaper, but they had a particularly good year this year. And his program has grown. He says, I actually could use 2 cars to take them both to these UIL programs. So we've done this before, Becky's familiar with it, have the title transferred, we've already had this vehicle stripped of all of its markings. And actually talking to Lieutenant Montgomery, it will probably cost more because by law, we have to take everything completely out of the car, cages, everything. And that costs some money. But it would probably cost more to have it completely stripped and sent to a public auction. Here, some of the equipment we're not going to use will be left on it because it won't fit on newer cars. And it'd actually probably be cheaper to donate it and go to a good cause.
I can make a motion to deem a 2009 Ford Crown Victoria surplus and allow donation of vehicle to the Lampasas National Law Enforcement Program as allowed by state law.
Second.
Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
7.3, discussion of possible action regarding terms of development agreement by and between RKJ Construction Developer and the City of Lampasas for the consideration of public involvement that include road construction and paving and extension of the city's water mains.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We'd like to share some information about this project. RKJ Construction is actually, to give you a little bit of background, is building four houses on 4 different lots. The actual, just to kind of give you an idea of where this is off Casebeer, just up from F, Avenue G, it was actually built out maybe 3/4 of the way to the end of the street, and then it stopped. And so those lots past there had not been prior developed. You've got an area, to give you a little bit of background on this. This area was platted 1885 or thereabouts. You have a lot of houses that have been built over the years, some using survey data, some not. And so there's a lot of things kind of going on over there. And to give you a little bit of background, when RKJ purchased those 4 lots, talking with Dan Johnson, his goal is to build housing that's affordable. So they're about a 1,500 square foot house. Kind of the housing, I know Lampasas probably needs more of that. And so that's actually what he's building. He's got 4 houses almost completed there on those lots. And the road construction piece was what is basically required typically in a development. You see on new developments, obviously the developer is responsible for infrastructure, for building out, whether that's water, sewer, streets, platting those lots. And you run into sometimes these areas in town where different developers are doing infill lots. And that's actually kind of what happened here. RKJ has done quite a few homes in these areas where you already have infrastructure, where you have a street, where you have water, where you have sewer. This particular street where it stopped, we did actually have sewer that we could provide there. The street didn't extend, and so in the red you can see typically what developers are obligated to is center line of the street, so paving to the center line of the street on the part that they're improving. And so that actually covers that side too, which is actually designated, it doesn't show on here, but it's actually platted as White Street, the kind of north-south piece of that. If you wouldn't mind, Monica, I'll show you the actual design plan, and hopefully this will make a little more sense, because this kind of gets into the nuts and bolts of what we're needing feedback from council today and direction. The actual design to make sure that it met the specs of the city in conjunction, and you can see the 4 lots from the end, or Dan Johnson's lots that they're building out. We went out with our regular city engineer that works with us all the time, Eckerman Engineering, and could get this produced fairly quick. And the ask was, as we're building this out, working with RKJ, they've been a great partner trying to get through this process, since this doesn't happen very often. But if you look at what's being built as far as the street infrastructure, the part to the north in the red is the obligation, or typically is the obligation of the city. Those lots have been there for years. the two on the end have not been developed. As you go further down the street, there is a house on that other side. But that the breakdown in the percentages, looking at the actual design in the red's about 37% of the roadway. So it's curb and gutter. The road must be built to city engineer design specs. And so that portion is pretty clear. Now what the ask is, and prior councils have made different decisions over the years, but the question today is, while the city understands that northern part that Dan Johnson is actually building out, we've taken on the design portion of it. He's actually doing the construction. His construction is about $57,000. So our portion of that is, at 20, I think it's about 24,000. And it's that piece is ours, but I think the direction and the question that we have today that we would like to hear back and feedback from council is the design, while in the past the city has paid for the design because we want to make sure that road's built accordingly, is that still council's direction, or is there a percentage like the streets being paid in a percentage now? As far as strictly the design is about $6,700, and I'll stand for any questions.
So say that question one more time.
So the real question is, we have taken the burden on getting it designed with our engineering firm. It was $6,700. We just want to make sure council's direction is clear. Is that the onus of that, is that solely on the city, or is the developer, does he need to pay a portion of that? The actual build out and the construction, clearly what's in the red is not tied to the development to the south that he's building out. So basically the L shape there on white would be clearly his. So the question is, on the $6,700, do we want to move forward? Is that 100% city obligation? That we need to fund that. Our street budget covers this, as it's a street, build out.
And we have that in the budget now. Is that right?
Correct.
And the developer is going to go in and take care of all the construction for even our side?
Correct.
He's going to take care of our part.
That's correct. We'll pay for our part, but he's going to build it out for us. So we didn't have to go out for a contract. We didn't have to hire a company to come in and build our piece. They've been good partners. We've worked well, and that was, kind of what we just needed feedback from and direction today.
Comparable price with them doing it rather than us going out and bidding it?
I would say the price that he has it at is fair and reasonable. Is it a little bit less because he's doing it with some of his forces, his equipment? Yes. So there is a cost savings, I would think, in there. I can't tell you exactly what that cost savings would be with him constructing it.
He's taking the risk and in investing in our city, so I think we need to do our part and help him.
I think previous council's action don't dictate future action. However, you can almost consider the payment of the engineering, a little bit like an insurance policy. It is designed according to our standard and it's built according to our specifications. So that's the reasoning that previous councils had picked up the design cost to make sure that it was, something that would jive with our specifications. As well as, I think Ryan did not mention this, but this is a piece of infrastructure that will not be accepted unless it's done correctly. So that's the other safeguard the council has.
I was just curious, looking at your table, historically, has the city ever helped with the water part of it, or
I would defer to.
The last example that I can recall is some development on, was it H or G? Anyway, that's where we actually had pavement, curb and gutter, but we did not have water, and we ended up extending that on the city's, at the city's cost. So different councils have done different things.
So in this ask, the developer didn't ask for.
That's correct.
That's correct. And we're actually, that water line that serves him, it's for the taps for those lots that didn't extend there. We've had to extend. We're actually going to loop that line back down White Street, tie back in, so we'll have a loop there now. Obviously, that's our portion of, we're not asking the developer to pay for that piece of it.
But without that extension, we would not be able to make
Yeah.
that loop at a future date.
Sure. I was also curious, is White Street going to be developed all the way down to F?
So I think that's a great question. And I think looking into the future, as we see more and more, because our understanding is RKJ may be looking at lots on the next street up, and then the area off to the east that you don't really see anything there but a fence line now, is still platted from that plat that could be developed out. Those lots exist. The streets are still there, based on the surveyor, and what he's found. And so, I think it's only time. You've got development up by 580. There's 3 or 4 lots up there. Marshall Brewer and Ron Farr are building out now. So I think it's a matter of time, and I think our plan would be, depending on what the CIP committee determines for us, and obviously council gives us directive on, is I think the goal would be we would widen our piece of White when we come back in. If H develops out, go ahead and build the rest of that down to F, so you have because at some point that it may not be considered a collector, but it will be, a used residential street and a connection to 580. So I think I would foresee that if this keeps building out and you have this type of infill in this area, in the next few years for sure.
And this may not be the right time for this question, but forward looking, do we have proper infrastructure that can be used? Like, is there sewer in this area, enough capacity for sewer and water, or do we need to be looking at improvements down the road?
What I would say to that is you're probably going to have to take a look at the infrastructure that's there. Obviously, some of that infrastructure, depending on the area you're at over there, is going to be older and maybe not, designed to handle it. We would definitely need to look at infrastructure. However, there are, we've extended up there at 580 a sewer line. I mean, there's infrastructure in the area. Whether it provides, the service, the level of service we need to in that area, if it builds out, that would be something we would definitely have to look at.
We have actually made some improvements in the northeast side over the years, not only CDBG funded, but also on our own. And in fact, in some cases, even with, the in-house labor and in-house materials, we put in a loop over closer to Junior Amis's old property, wrapped that around. We did that 3 or 4 years ago. And if Fanny were here, he could tell you some other projects. So we probably have a mix of infrastructure over there currently, but I think the water and wastewater department have been somewhat forward thinking in trying to connect and loop and extend those services.
Good.
But we can sure bring Van in and have him talk about that at a future meeting if that council would like to hear a little bit more about the infrastructure on the northeast side.
Thank you.
So I'd move to direct staff to submit the terms of a developmental agreement between RKJ Construction, the developer, and the city of Lampasas City, where the city would bear the engineering costs to make sure it's properly done.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Check tack on there to in an amount not to exceed 7,000.
We can.
You said it was 6,700.
6,700.
Okay.
And we've been invoiced, so I don't see any changes, but.
Is that still the motion? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
7.4, discuss and consider nominating candidates for election to Central Texas Water Supply Corporation Board of Directors.
Mayor and council, annually, the city council is asked to consider the appointment of the city representative to the Central Texas Water Corporation Board of Directors. Previously, council has approved by resolution appointing the city manager as representative.
City manager has actively participated in board meetings and activities and is willing to continue to serve at council's pleasure. However, it's your decision. So if one of you wanted to fill that role or anybody else wanted to do that, that'd be fine. I'm certainly willing to continue the service of council if that's council's desire.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution and appointment of representative, Mr. Finley, to the Central Texas Water Supply Corporation Board of Directors.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.